What did it mean to survive when the world itself seemed to turn against humanity? When the air was sharp with cold, and the sky hung low with ice and shadow? How did those who came before us endure, adapt, and even thrive? These are not merely questions of history, but questions of existence, of intelligence, resilience, and the stubborn pulse of life against the relentless forces of nature. The last ice age was more than a climatic event. It was a crucible. Rivers froze before they could carry fish to starving mouths. Forests became impassable fortresses of snow. The land itself seemed a wilderness that sought to erase the presence of humankind. Yet, in this frozen expanse, our ancestors did not falter. They learned, they invented, they survived. Every step across the ice, every spark of fire in the darkness, was a testament to ingenuity and hope. Consider the caves of Europe, where the first light of human creativity flickered against stone walls. Images of animals, stars, and human forms, etched in charcoal and ochre, speak of minds capable of abstract thought and symbolism. These early expressions of art were not mere decoration. They were mirrors of perception, guides to survival, and perhaps even conversations with the unknown. Survival during this era was not only a physical endeavor, but a philosophical one. To endure the Ice Age required foresight, memory, and communal intelligence. The rhythms of nature became a language to decode, and the slightest misjudgment could mean death. Yet, amid glaciers and snow, humans observed, recorded, and acted. They measured the world not in years, but in seasons, not in days, but in moments when action could preserve life. There is a strange intimacy in imagining these lives. Each frozen landscape, each cave wall, is a whisper from the past, a story of resilience and creativity. They remind us that the human mind has always sought patterns, sought solutions, and sought meaning. And perhaps, as we look back, we see the same spark that drives us today. The need to leave traces, to understand, to endure beyond the self. The Ice Age is not simply a distant epoch. It is a mirror. It reflects the eternal challenges of existence, the cycles of memory and survival, and the quiet power of human ingenuity. As we journey through the frozen past, we will discover that the story of cavemen is not a story of primitiveness or fragility. It is the story of intelligence awakening in harmony with the harshest of worlds, of knowledge encoded in experience, and of a lineage that connects us directly to the present. The question remains, if the world once threatened to erase humanity, how did our ancestors ensure that life, knowledge, and culture would not only survive, but flourish? That is the story we are about to unfold, a journey into the Ice Age, into the minds of those who stared down the coldest winters, and into the timeless quest to endure. The last Ice Age, known scientifically as the Pleistocene, began roughly 115,000 years ago and would extend, with fluctuating advances and retreats of ice, until about 11,700 years ago. During this time, vast glaciers carved the continents, reshaping mountains, valleys, and rivers. Europe, Asia, and North America were cloaked in ice, forcing humanity to adapt or vanish. The land itself became a stage for survival, a realm where only the most perceptive, ingenious, and resilient would endure. Archaeological evidence shows that humans did not merely exist. They actively engaged with these extreme environments. Cave systems, now silent and frozen, once echoed with the careful footsteps of families and tribes in southern Europe. Sites like Chauvet Cave and Lascaux reveal the astonishing creativity of early humans. Murals depicting bison, horses, and mammoths, executed with a precision that suggests not only artistic intent, but a sophisticated understanding of their prey, surroundings, and even spiritual beliefs. These were not idle images. They were guides, markers, and mnemonic tools for a society that had to anticipate survival days, months, and years in advance. Tools were humanity's first language with the world. Flint blades, scrapers, and spear points testified to careful planning and skill. Each piece of stone was selected, shaped, and sharpened to maximize utility and longevity. It was a dialogue with nature: how to cut, pierce, and hunt, how to build shelters against wind and snow, how to create clothing from furs and hides that could stave off the relentless cold. The cave walls tell us that survival was not merely physical. It demanded observation, planning, and communication. Migration was another essential strategy. Humans of the Ice Age were not static. They were constantly moving in response to shifting ice, dwindling game, and the rhythm of seasons. Evidence from genetic studies shows waves of migration across Europe and Asia. Small bands of humans tracking herds, exploiting rivers, and establishing temporary camps near reliable resources. Survival was a collective effort. Every individual contributed to the network of knowledge about the land, animals, and climate. Food acquisition extended beyond hunting. Early humans supplemented their diet with foraged plants, nuts, and roots. Understanding which were safe, nutritious, or poisonous, they preserved food where possible, storing roots in caves or freezing meat in naturally cold conditions. In these practices, we see early forms of what modern science might call resource management, strategies developed to navigate scarcity and unpredictability. Asterisk shelters were constructed with ingenuity that belies the simplicity of materials. From mammoth bone frameworks to wooden and animal hide structures, early humans created safe spaces against the extreme cold. Fire was the center of these shelters, a source of warmth, light, protection, and social cohesion. Anthropologists suggest that fire was more than utility, it was central to the human psyche, a symbol of control in a world dominated by unpredictable forces. Even in such harsh conditions, humans left traces of symbolic thought. Rituals, burials, and careful arrangement of objects reveal a society aware of life, death, and the continuity of knowledge. They were thinking not only about surviving the present, but ensuring that the collective memory of the tribe endured. An echo of intelligence, stretching across generations. The last ice age was a period where environment dictated the terms, yet humanity's response demonstrates a profound capacity for adaptation. The frozen landscapes were both adversary and teacher. Each hunt, each fire, each crafted tool, each mark on a cave wall was a lesson in survival, foresight, and ingenuity. Early humans were observers of the natural world, scientists and philosophers in their own right, recording, remembering, and predicting, often without a written language but with a memory as precise as any digital database. Human innovation during this epoch was not incremental but transformative. The constant pressures of climate and scarcity honed cognitive and social skills that remain at the core of human intelligence. Every artifact, every cave painting, and every constructed shelter is a testament to the intimate dialogue between humans and their environment, a dialogue that continues to echo in our modern endeavors to understand and survive within the world around us. Amid the relentless chill of the Ice Age, early humans did more than survive, they sought meaning. The world around them was immense, unpredictable, and often terrifying. The roaring glaciers, the shadowed forests, the migrating herds of mammoths and bison, they were forces beyond comprehension. To make sense of these forces, humans turned to symbolism and myth, projecting stories onto the natural world, seeking patterns in chaos. Cave walls became the first pages of human imagination. In places like Lascaux, Altamira, and Chauvet, the figures of animals, horses, aurochs, and woolly mammoths were not mere decorations. They were expressions of reverence and understanding, perhaps even early prayers for success in the hunt. Some anthropologists suggest that the exaggerated features of these animals represented not only observation but intention, depicting the essence of the creature, its power, its spirit, and its danger. Each stroke of pigment was an act of communication with forces seen and unseen. Totems and symbolic carvings reveal an early spirituality intertwined with survival. Humans may have believed that by honoring the animals, the land, and the stars, they could influence outcomes vital to life itself. Shamanic practices likely emerged during this time. Figures who interpreted signs, mediated between the human and spiritual worlds, and guided communities through the perilous landscape. These rituals were not superstitions in the sense we understand today. They were practical tools for cohesion and foresight, providing structure to social life and ensuring cooperation in a world that demanded teamwork to survive. The Ice Age also fostered a cosmic imagination. Observing the skies, early humans might have noted patterns in the stars, associating them with seasonal shifts, animal migrations, or divine entities. The movements of celestial bodies were translated into cycles that informed hunting and gathering, a fusion of practical knowledge and spiritual interpretation. Mythology, in this sense, became a bridge between survival and understanding, an early form of philosophy expressed through narrative, symbolism, and ritual. Rituals surrounding life and death also illustrate this symbolic depth. Burial sites, such as those in Dolny-Vstanes, show careful placement of the deceased with tools, ornaments, and sometimes food. These were acts of respect, but also of memory, acknowledging the continuity of life and the role of each individual in sustaining the collective knowledge and survival strategies of the tribe. Symbols served as a form of immortality. a preservation of identity and wisdom across generations. Animals held a central place in Ice Age mythology. The predator, the prey, and the natural elements were often anthropomorphized, representing forces to respect, fear, or emulate. Early humans may have seen themselves as participants in a larger web of existence, where every action had consequence, and the rhythms of life and death were to be honored. These stories, these images, were both practical guides and sacred texts, instructing, warning, and inspiring, even without written language. Early humans encoded complex knowledge into their rituals and art, the repetition of patterns, the placement of symbols, and the shared understanding of these signs created a cognitive map of the world. They were early philosophers, contemplating existence through art and ceremony, understanding survival not only as a physical challenge, but as a moral, social, and spiritual endeavor. Through mythology and symbolism, the Ice Age humans were communicating with both the present and the future. Their stories preserve lessons, strategies, and observations, waiting for generations to interpret them. These symbols were not frozen in time, they were alive with meaning, echoing across millennia and forming a foundation for human culture, philosophy, and even modern storytelling. In the relentless cold and vast expanses of the Ice Age, survival depended not only on strength, but on knowledge, the careful observation of the natural world, the passing down of techniques, and the cultivation of skills that would carry a tribe through winters and scarcity. Early humans were not merely hunters, they were inventors, strategists, and custodians of a primitive but profound understanding of their environment. Fire, perhaps the single most transformative technology, was both a practical tool and a symbol of human ingenuity. Controlling fire meant warmth, protection from predators, and a means to cook food, unlocking nutrients and calories critical for survival. Beyond the practical, fire became a gathering point, a center of social life, storytelling, and knowledge transmission. Round its glow, wisdom was shared, strategies discussed, and young minds trained to recognize patterns in the behavior of animals, the weather, and the land. Stone tools were another testament to early human innovation. Flaked blades, scrapers, and hand axes were carefully shaped to perform specific tasks: hunting, butchering, and preparing materials. Over thousands of years, these tools evolved in complexity, reflecting not just skill but cognitive advancement, planning, and foresight. Crafting a spear was an exercise in geometry and physics. Angles mattered, weight mattered, and the understanding of the animal's behavior informed design. Each innovation was a recorded thought, a mark of intelligence impressed on the material. World shelters and clothing extended human adaptability, from simple windbreaks to intricate huts insulated with animal hides. These constructions demonstrate an understanding of materials, thermal properties, and environmental planning. Clothing, carefully fashioned from furs and sinews, was not mere protection, it was a symbol of foresight and cultural knowledge, passed down from elder to youth. Each stitch, each layer of fur, represented accumulated wisdom, a thread in the vast tapestry of survival knowledge. Food preservation was equally vital. Early humans learned to store dried meat, roots, and nuts, developing primitive refrigeration and storage systems. They tracked seasonal cycles, predicted animal migrations, and mapped fertile areas for foraging. This knowledge allowed communities to endure months when resources were scarce, a precursor to agricultural planning and, much later, human civilization itself. Perhaps the most astonishing element of Ice Age cognition was information transmission. Without writing, early humans relied on observation, demonstration, and storytelling. The elders taught hunting techniques, survival strategies, and environmental cues through repetition and ritual. Even cave paintings may have served as mnemonic devices, a visual library of knowledge, a coded record of encounters, dangers, and successful strategies. A painting of a bison was not just art, it conveyed anatomy, behavior, and methods of pursuit. To future hunters, tracking and mapping were early forms of geospatial intelligence. Hunters remembered river bends, animal trails, and seasonal shelters. These mental maps were shared with the group, enabling coordinated hunts and migration strategies. Knowledge of the landscape became a form of power. Those who remembered best guided the tribe, ensured survival, and safeguarded collective memory. Early humans also developed strategic cooperation. Hunting large prey required communication, timing, and coordination. Signals, gestures, and shared routines were the first forms of proto-language, a precursor to writing, contracts, and complex communication. Cooperation was survival, and the transfer of knowledge was sacred. Forgetting or miscommunicating could mean death. Even rituals and symbolic behavior carried technological purpose. Certain dances, chants, or ceremonial acts may have served as training for hunters, preparing minds and bodies for the rigors of survival. Spiritual belief and practical knowledge were entwined. The sacred and the practical were inseparable. The boundary between myth and science blurred, much as it would in later civilizations. In this way, the Ice Age was not merely a period of hardship, but a laboratory for human intelligence. Every tool, every fire, every story was a node in a vast network of survival. Knowledge became tangible, encoded in objects, gestures, and art, passed down across generations. This transmission of wisdom ensured continuity, creating a bridge from the Ice Age to the modern human mind. There is a remarkable parallel between these early cognitive structures and modern data systems. Just as the Sumerians recorded information on clay tablets, early humans encoded vital knowledge in tools, shelters, art, and ritual. Firelight became the screen, the cave wall the archive, and storytelling the algorithm. The impulse to observe, to record, to transmit, and to predict was the same, shaped now by the exigencies of nature rather than silicon. The ingenuity of Ice Age humans reminds us that technology is not merely modern, it is timeless. Their adaptations, strategies, and symbolic knowledge represent the first expressions of human problem solving, the earliest attempts to control and understand the environment. In every flint knife, every fire pit, every carefully arranged bone or painting, one can trace the continuity of human intelligence, the same curiosity, the same inventiveness, the same drive that fuels modern science, engineering, and exploration. Survival, after all, was never only physical, it was intellectual, social, and cultural. The first technologies were as much about thinking, observing, and remembering as they were about cutting, cooking, or sheltering. In their echoes, we can hear the beginnings of civilization, a testament to the enduring human mind, as the frozen landscapes of the Ice Age slowly thawed. The legacy of those early humans did not vanish, it lingered in our DNA, in the ways we interact with the environment, and in the very strategies that ensure our survival today. Modern science has begun to uncover the echoes of their existence, tracing paths of migration, genetic adaptations, and survival strategies that span tens of thousands of years. Genetic research has revealed astonishing insights. Modern humans carry traces of adaptations to extreme cold, high altitudes, and even diet shifts, testaments to the trials and triumphs of Ice Age ancestors. These genetic markers are not mere curiosities, they are living evidence of human ingenuity, encoded in our very cells, passed down from generation to generation, a bridge connecting past and present. We now understand how early humans adapted not only through invention, but through biological evolution, shaping their bodies to endure cold, scarcity, and harsh conditions. Archaeology brings further clarity. Ancient campsites, tools, and cave dwellings, meticulously uncovered layer by layer, reveal sophisticated strategies for survival. Sites such as those in Siberia, Europe, and North America showcase the ingenuity required to thrive. Carefully constructed shelters, sophisticated hunting weapons, and evidence of long-distance travel for seasonal resources. These findings demonstrate that Ice Age humans were not simply reacting to their environment, they were studying it, predicting it, and shaping their lives accordingly. Modern parallels abound. Algorithms now predict migration patterns, model climate impacts, and simulate ecosystems, tasks reminiscent of the decision-making performed by early humans in their daily struggle, where a hunter once observed animal behavior. Modern scientists feed vast datasets into artificial intelligence to forecast ecological trends, where tribes once mapped rivers and forests from memory. Modern geospatial technologies create maps from satellite data. The tools have changed, but the intellectual impulse remains unchanged. One of the most striking connections comes from paleoclimatology. Scientists study ice cores, sediment layers, and pollen records to reconstruct the climate of the Ice Age, understanding the rhythms and cycles that shaped human survival. In doing so, we are, in effect, reading the environment as our ancestors once did, decoding the natural signs that dictated life and death. The patterns they observed were the first algorithms, and today we continue their work with advanced computational methods, echoing the cognitive processes of Ice Age humans. Even in the digital age, survival strategies of the past inform our decisions. Resource management, risk assessment, and social cooperation, all essential in ancient communities, remain critical today. The lessons learned in the frozen forests and plains continue to guide us. The importance of planning, collaboration, and foresight. Humans have not abandoned these ancient instincts. They have refined and amplified them through culture, technology, and knowledge. The study of early human adaptation also informs medicine and public health. Genetic variations that allowed Ice Age humans to metabolize certain foods, endure cold, or resist pathogens are now key to understanding contemporary health and disease patterns. Similarly, modern climate adaptation strategies are built upon the same principles that guided human migration. During glacial expansion's resilience, flexibility, and observation, technology itself mirrors ancient ingenuity. Artificial intelligence, for example, can predict animal migration or model survival scenarios, echoing the cognitive processes of Ice Age hunters. Just as our ancestors observed, remembered, and anticipated, AI now processes massive datasets to anticipate outcomes and optimize decisions. This continuity highlights a profound truth: the human mind, at its core, is a survival engine, and technology is merely the extension of that mind. Even in philosophy and art, the Ice Age leaves its mark. Stories of endurance, community, and ingenuity continue to resonate. Our fascination with survival in extreme conditions, from documentaries to literature, mirrors the curiosity and reflection of our ancestors. We study their lives not only for facts but for wisdom, inspiration, and perspective, finding in their struggles the timeless human qualities that define our species. The continuity extends to education and learning. Early humans taught each other survival skills through observation, imitation, and ritual. Modern humans continue this tradition, albeit through books, digital media, and virtual simulations. The methods have evolved, but the essence of knowledge transfer remains constant. It is a chain stretching across millennia, linking the Ice Age hunter to the scientist, the engineer, and the explorer. Ultimately, this section reveals a temporal thread connecting past and present. The Ice Age is not a distant, forgotten era. It is a living archive of human problem-solving, adaptability, and intelligence. Our modern tools, our data-driven decision-making, and our understanding of survival are all descendants of strategies honed in the icy wilderness of tens of thousands of years ago. In observing them, we recognize the timelessness of human ingenuity, a reminder that civilization is built not only upon innovation but upon memory, observation, and the lessons of endurance. The more we uncover about Ice Age humans, the more we understand that our modern achievements are not leaps into the unknown. They are continuations, reflections, and refinements of the cognitive and technological strategies first developed in response to the challenges of survival. In every AI model, every predictive algorithm, every strategic plan, there echoes the rhythm of a hunter tracking prey across frozen plains, the patience of a tribe observing the cycles of the seasons, and the ingenuity of minds facing a world that could freeze them or starve them in a single winter. As we trace the footsteps of Ice Age humans, we are confronted not only with their ingenuity, but with their profound understanding of existence itself. Survival was more than a physical endeavor. It was a philosophical confrontation with impermanence, mortality, and the unknown. Each decision, each crafted tool, each ritual carried with it an awareness that life is fragile and fleeting, yet that memory and knowledge could endure beyond the individual. The cyclical nature of life, death, and survival emerges repeatedly. In the archaeological record, early humans understood seasons as patterns, not linear progressions. The harsh winters, the thawing rivers, the migrations of animals all formed a rhythm that dictated not only survival strategies, but also a worldview rooted in cycles. Unlike our modern obsession with linear time and progress, Ice Age humans experienced life as repetition, renewal, and adaptation. The same patterns that brought scarcity also brought abundance. The same forces that threatened extinction also fostered ingenuity. In reflecting upon these cycles, we see that human intelligence was not only adaptive, but anticipatory. The act of storing food for the winter, building shelters to endure storms, and creating tools that would last beyond a single season is a testament to foresight. Early humans were aware that the present moment was inseparable from the past and future, that survival depended on understanding the continuity of life and the consequences of each action. Philosophically, this invites reflection on the nature of knowledge itself. What does it mean to know something if that knowledge cannot be preserved? The first humans who etched patterns in stone or arranged objects in meaningful sequences were not merely recording information, they were asserting continuity against the tide of chaos. Knowledge became a form of resistance against forgetting. a way to transcend the immediate moment and speak across generations. Modern parallels are striking. We too seek continuity through books, digital media, and now artificial intelligence. Every algorithm, every database, every code is, in essence, a ritual of preservation, echoing the same human desire that drove Ice Age humans to carve, paint, and inscribe. Civilization, in this sense, is a conversation with time, a dialogue with the unknown, a refusal to let memory die. The Ice Age also teaches lessons about community and interdependence. Survival was never solitary. It required cooperation, trust, and the sharing of knowledge. This interdependence was both practical and philosophical. Humans recognized that the individual alone could not withstand the storms, but the collective could endure. In this understanding lies a timeless reflection on human society. Our strength emerges from connection, and our survival depends as much on empathy and collaboration as on intelligence and skill. Moreover, the philosophical resonance extends to the relationship between humans and the natural world. Ice Age humans did not merely conquer their environment, they engaged with it, observed it, and learned from it. The land, the ice, the rivers, and the animals were not inert resources. They were teachers, guides, and participants in a shared existence. This perspective challenges modern humans to reconsider our own approach to nature, urging us to embrace harmony over domination. Memory, both collective and personal, becomes central to this reflection. Each cave painting, each tool, each ritual, is a testament to the persistence of consciousness, a reminder that humans are storytellers by necessity, that our survival is inseparable from our ability to preserve and transmit meaning. This philosophical truth connects us directly to our ancestors. The impulse to remember, to encode experience into objects, language, and action, is a defining feature of humanity. Finally, we confront the tension between impermanence and endurance. Ice Age humans faced a world constantly reshaped by glaciers, climate, and scarcity, yet they sought permanence in fleeting forms. In their struggles, we glimpse the eternal human condition: to live, to learn, to create, and to leave traces behind. Even when faced with forces beyond comprehension, their lives, ephemeral yet inscribed in stone, echo across time, reminding us that survival is not merely a matter of biology, but also of wisdom, memory, and philosophical awareness. In contemplating these truths, we recognize a profound continuity. The strategies, knowledge, and reflections of Ice Age humans were not lost, they live within us, encoded in our cognition, our societies, and our technologies. The philosophical insights gleaned from survival under extreme conditions continue to shape modern thought, reminding us that intelligence is inseparable from reflection, and that human resilience is as much about understanding life as it is about enduring it. Imagine standing on the frozen edge of the Ice Age world. Glaciers stretch like silver oceans, their jagged edges catching the pale light of a sun that barely warms the landscape. Rivers, once flowing freely, now lie locked beneath thick sheets of ice. Forests are skeletal, their bare branches etched against a gray sky. The wind howls across open plains, carrying with it a biting cold that seems to reach into the very marrow of life. In this world, early humans moved with a deliberate grace, attuned to the rhythm of survival. Every breath was measured, every step calculated. Children huddled near fires, their eyes reflecting flickering flames, learning from elders the lessons of the land, the whispers of the wind, and the signs of the animals that roamed frozen forests. The scent of smoke mingled with the crisp tang of snow, while the distant cry of a wolf reminded them that life and death were intertwined in every moment. Picture a hunting scene, a small band of humans, cloaked in animal skins, advancing silently through a forest blanketed in frost. Their spears glint, sharpened to a perfection born of necessity. They move as one, attuned to each other's breath, each heartbeat, each subtle movement. An elk appears on the ridge, its nostrils flaring, unaware of the patience and precision aimed against it. The tension is palpable, the outcome uncertain. The hunt is survival, ritual, and art intertwined, a testament to intelligence honed under relentless conditions. Inside caves, the story is quieter but no less intense. Walls adorned with paintings of bison, mammoths, and mysterious symbols capture both the physical and spiritual struggles of daily life. The strokes of ochre and charcoal are deliberate, imbued with meaning beyond mere depiction. Each image serves as memory, instruction, an invocation, an early attempt to bridge the ephemeral human experience with permanence. Light, from torches, flickers across the rough surfaces, casting shadows that dance like spirits. connecting the living to the stories of ancestors. Now shift to the intimacy of domestic life. A mother teaches her child to tie for thongs, to start a fire, to read the signs of approaching storms. The father carves a spear while sharing stories of past hunts and losses. Every action carries a weight of significance, every gesture a lesson in endurance. In these moments, the viewer feels not just the physical cold, but the warmth of human connection. A fire kindled in the heart of adversity. The environment itself becomes a character. Frozen rivers, snow-laden forests, and jagged cliffs are not mere backdrops. They shape behavior, culture, and thought. The interplay of light and shadow across ice sheets creates a sense of both beauty and danger. Animals, from the silent stalking predators to the migratory herds, populate the scene with tension and life. Each movement, each sound, is a note in the symphony of survival. Sensory immersion continues as we witness rituals. A shaman's chant echoes in the hollow of a cave, smoke curling toward the high ceiling, carrying prayers and hopes. The sound of flint striking stone resonates like a heartbeat, marking time, rhythm, and intention. Every sensory element, the crackle of fire, the groan of ice, the whisper of wind, pulls the viewer into a visceral experience, blending observation with empathy. This section is not just about spectacle, it is about connection. Through vivid, poetic imagery, viewers experience the emotions, fears, hopes, and determination of humans whose struggles were universal, yet amplified by the extremes of their environment. We are drawn to their ingenuity, their courage, and their resilience, recognizing in them the essence of humanity that persists across millennia. By the end of this immersive journey, the Ice Age is no longer a distant, frozen epoch. It becomes a living, breathing world, where human experience, fraught with peril yet illuminated by ingenuity, courage, and wonder, resonates with the same questions and emotions we face today. The cold, the snow, the darkness are not barriers, they are mirrors, reflecting the enduring pulse of human life against the vast canvas of time. As the ice recedes and the glaciers retreat, the world transforms, but the human spirit endures. From the frozen plains and shadowed caves of the Ice Age emerges a story not just of survival, but of resilience, ingenuity, and continuity. The struggles of our ancestors are etched not only in stone and bone, but in the rhythm of human memory, the cycles of learning, and the timeless pulse of adaptation. We look back and see more than cold landscapes and hunted prey. We see intelligence awakening in its rawest form, the first sparks of strategy, cooperation, and foresight. Every tool, every fire, every mark on a cave wall is a testament to the ability to transform adversity into opportunity, chaos into order. In this, the cavemen are not distant relics, they are the ancestors of our curiosity, our innovation, and our enduring drive to understand the world. Reflecting on their lives, we are reminded that survival is not merely biological, but deeply cultural and philosophical. It is the weaving of knowledge, ritual, and empathy into the fabric of existence. The lessons they left behind through art, through practice, through memory echo across millennia, shaping how we manage resources, build communities, and navigate uncertainty. The cycle of experience and reflection that guided Ice Age humans continues within us, a quiet yet persistent hum beneath the modern clamor of technology and progress. In contemplating these ancient lives, we confront the paradox of human existence, mortality paired with the desire for permanence. The cave paintings, the etched symbols, the carefully crafted tools, these were early acts of defiance against forgetfulness, attempts to inscribe humanity into the very fabric of time. Today, our archives, servers, and digital networks serve a similar purpose: to preserve, to remember, and to extend consciousness beyond individual lives. Across 20,000 years, the impulse is the same. The medium has changed, but the message remains. Yet, survival is not just about memory, it is about relationship with nature, with community, and with the unknown. The Ice Age was unforgiving, yet early humans endured not in isolation, but in connection. They listened to the land, the animals, and each other. They adapted, innovated, and harmonized their actions with the environment's rhythms. Their story reminds us that resilience is never a solitary achievement. It is born of empathy, collaboration, and awareness of the forces around us. As the final echoes of the Ice Age fade into history, we are left with a profound understanding. Humanity is a continuum of memory, struggle, and triumph. Every challenge we face, climate, scarcity, uncertainty, is a mirror of the past, calling upon the same courage, foresight, and ingenuity that shaped the survival of early humans. By studying their triumphs and failures, we learn not only about them, but about ourselves, our potential, and the responsibilities we carry into the future. And so, as we close this journey, the frozen landscapes, flickering fires, and shadowed caves dissolve into reflection. The Ice Age is more than a chapter in history. It is a meditation on endurance, a mirror of the human spirit, and a reminder that survival is memory, knowledge, and the eternal drive to live with purpose. In their struggle, we find the seed of our own resilience. In their art and ingenuity, we glimpse the continuity of civilization itself. Every end, as it turns out, is also a beginning. The lessons of the Ice Age ripple through time, connecting past and present, survival and memory, humanity and the vast, indifferent world around it. Through the courage of those who endured, we inherit not only life, but understanding, the gift of knowing that to survive is to remember, to adapt, and to continue the story that began long before us. Beyond the frozen landscapes, beyond the caves and the flickering fires, the Ice Age left more than mere survival stories. It left a legacy of adaptation, creativity, and foresight, a blueprint of human potential etched into the very structure of civilization. Every strategy our ancestors devised to endure the cold, every innovation of shelter, fire, or tool, reverberates through time, echoing in the way we confront the challenges of our own age. The lessons of the Ice Age are subtle, yet profound. They remind us that resilience is built from knowledge, observation, and community. Early humans did not merely react to the environment, they studied it, predicted it, and learned to live in harmony with it. Tracking animal migrations, reading weather patterns, and understanding the cycles of seasons were acts of science long before the term existed. Their wisdom was practical, yet deeply philosophical, reflecting an understanding of impermanence and the interconnectedness of all things. This legacy continues in us today. Modern humans may no longer rely on stone tools or hunt with spears, but the principles of survival remain unchanged. We navigate climate change, pandemics, and technological upheavals with strategies that mirror those of our Ice Age ancestors: observation, planning, cooperation, and innovation. The tools have evolved, but the cognitive and moral impulses are remarkably similar. Just as the first humans learned to read the language of the natural world, we now learn to read the language of data, ecosystems, and complex systems that shape our modern lives. The endurance of knowledge, too, is central to this legacy. Our ancestors sought permanence in a world of impermanence. They created art, symbols, and oral traditions to pass wisdom across generations. Today, we archive knowledge digitally, map genomes, and model climates, but the desire is fundamentally the same: to remember, to learn, to ensure that experience endures beyond a single lifetime. The Ice Age teaches us that human memory, whether inscribed on clay, painted on cave walls, or stored in servers, is the thread that binds past, present, and future. Perhaps most importantly, the Ice Age offers a lesson in humility. Early humans were acutely aware of forces beyond their control: storms, predators, famine, but they did not surrender. Instead, they adapted with ingenuity and collaboration, understanding that survival was both an individual and collective endeavor. This duality of self-reliance and interdependence continues to shape humanity today, reminding us that no technology, no wealth, no knowledge can replace the value of community, awareness, and empathy. As we reflect on this legacy, it becomes clear that the Ice Age is not merely a distant past, it is a mirror held up to our present. It challenges us to consider our own adaptability, our foresight, and the wisdom with which we navigate uncertainty. The story of survival, ingenuity, and memory from 20,000 years ago is not just history, it is a lesson, a guide, and a call to embrace the continuity of human potential. In the end, the Ice Age speaks to the essence of what it means to be human. To survive is to observe, to learn, to cooperate, and to create. To endure is to leave a legacy that echoes beyond time, a whisper carried through generations, reminding us that even in the harshest conditions, humanity can thrive. Through reflection, knowledge, and adaptation, we honor the courage of our ancestors, and in doing so, illuminate the path for those who will come after us. Beyond the frozen valleys, beyond the footprints that time has tried to erase, the story of humanity continues, carried in whispers across millennia. The Ice Age was more than an epic of survival. It was a crucible in which the essence of human ingenuity, curiosity, and resilience was forged. Every spark of fire, every carefully constructed shelter, every hunt undertaken in the face of relentless cold, contributed to a legacy that flows into the present, shaping who we are and how we perceive the world. In reflecting upon this legacy, we realize that survival was never a solitary act. It was woven from threads of observation, communication, and shared knowledge. Early humans read the sky as we now read data, traced animal paths as we map global systems, and deciphered patterns in nature as we now model climate and society. The continuum of human intelligence stretches from the Ice Age to today, a silent rhythm connecting the hands of the past to the minds of the present. The echoes of these ancient lives manifest not only in our tools or our architecture, but in the rhythms of thought and the structures of society. We see in them the roots of planning, innovation, and ethical cooperation. The Ice Age reminds us that knowledge is not merely stored, it is acted upon, interpreted, and passed forward. Just as early humans created rituals and symbols to capture their understanding of the world, we encode our discoveries in books, servers, and satellites, striving to ensure that no insight is lost to the passage of time. Yet there is more than intellect in this legacy. There is heart, the courage to face storms, the tenderness in nurturing the young, the solidarity in hunting and gathering. These were the invisible forces that allowed communities to endure. Humanity's strength has always lain in balance between reason and empathy, between ambition and respect for the forces beyond control. The Ice Age teaches that true survival is holistic, embracing mind, body, and spirit in harmony with the natural order. As we peer into the past, we see that the cycle of memory and renewal continues. Just as glaciers carved landscapes and melted to reveal hidden valleys, human memory flows through layers of time, revealing lessons, stories, and wisdom to those who listen. We, too, become stewards of continuity, charged with preserving, interpreting, and honoring the experiences that came before us. In doing so, we create bridges between epochs, allowing knowledge to transcend its temporal boundaries. Finally, the Ice Age speaks to the eternal nature of human potential. Survival was never solely about endurance, it was about creation, understanding, and transformation. The fires kindled by our ancestors illuminate paths that stretch far beyond the frozen world they knew. And though the Ice Age receded, leaving only traces of frost and stone, its spirit endures, shaping thought, guiding innovation, and whispering timeless truths about courage, wisdom, and interconnectedness. In the end, the legacy of the Ice Age is not confined to history books or archaeological artifacts. It lives in every act of resilience, in every measure of foresight, in every choice to learn, adapt, and endure. It reminds us that humanity is not merely a product of survival, but of memory, imagination, and the unyielding impulse to leave the world a little wiser than we found it. And so, as we close this reflection, we honor not just the cavemen of the Ice Age, but the eternal echo of humanity itself, a continuity of spirit, knowledge, and life, whispered across time, calling us to remember, to learn, and to thrive.